Hi everybody, my name is Madeline and this is my final project for Metro. So I focused this semester on resiliency and design, and I was pretty surprised at how much overlap there was and similarities for what resilience means literally and then figuratively. So we'll talk about it in this slide here. So resiliency and design is and what that means to our built environment. It's the first thing that came to my mind was hurricane relief. In a literal sense, stormproofing materials and how it could save lives and prevent unnecessary rehabilitation spending. And then I wanted to expand more on that. I know James shared with us that he spent time in school down in Hurricane Katrina relief, and that was what really made me think of what I chose and the everything that went into that. So what truly makes the project resilient is the people, is the way the project can evolve or change with times. And I think, yes, it's all of the above. It will change with the times and should. Life, human, and nature and circumstances are messy and vary. To be the best designer you can be, you should be flexible and always keep an open mind. And that means just always being open for feedback or what the project is telling you, what your research is telling you, what the community is telling you. I think that in a way is also resilient, just because you're not succumbing to designs that you think it should be. You're really just there letting it happen and then being able to produce something from that. So what I've learned from my peers in my research community is I think that they had a lot of great ideas, and how to really think about the ease of installment was really fascinating to me. About when you have a place that's been so devastated by a storm, what is the best plan of attack? You can't really get crews in there to start all over and heal the land and then build on top of it. So what is a way that you can do that more efficiently and maybe build off site or easy install on site? So that was really interesting. Also, get to hear their take on what ideas that they had for that. So our readings, there was a lot of similarities in our readings versus what I was researching, and everything that we were reading this semester was talking about how being a good designer is listening to everyone in your community and getting feedback and really collaborating. And that's exactly what resilient design is, because in the literal sense, there's a catastrophe that happens that kind of sparks your thinking and how to approach it and plan of attack. And it's a good reminder to, when it's not always literal, that how can you design resiliently even without a catastrophe. So a special example of resilient design, just to put more of a tangible grip on what a project that has been built resiliently, is Babcock Ranch in Florida. It's just near Fort Myers, and this land has been devastated multiple times, as I'm sure everybody is very familiar with. And it has proven to have been resilient. The plan was for it to be resilient, but it proved to be resilient when it survived 140 mile per hour winds of Hurricane Ian in September 2022. So it's cool to see that everything that they thought was going to work actually did work out. Not only did this community withstand the storm, it also provided shelter for the community. And that was something that I felt was incredibly responsible and resilient, if you will, because you are thinking about your community and what they are going to need, and being able to provide safety for them. And it really does create more sense of safety with where you're living and community, and that they're living permanently, not just until the next hurricane comes. Like, it makes them stronger as a community because they are withstanding such crazy disasters. So that was really cool to see that connection as well. A question that I had asked throughout the semester was, is it more economical to build resilient for the first time? Because when you think about, installing all those solar panels right there, everybody hears about your, ROI and how many years that takes to really see profit or discount or whatever you would imagine that, the incentives of doing it. And it turns out that, yeah, building right the first time is a lot less expensive than doing it 5 times over, which is the case in any sense. So I understand that initial cost is a lot for people to swallow. And I think that's what is the hardest part about not taking this path and procedure every time after a disaster happens to a piece of land and a community. So, yeah, I think that developers definitely have a responsibility. I know building codes change after every single storm. And I just think that really does fall on contractors and thinking, I'm building this again, I'm rebuilding this. How am I doing this the best that I can for the community? And as well as designers, because it takes a team. So, yeah, developers only have so much knowledge, and designers have another knowledge. So that collaboration is great. Understanding long-term effects and local environmental risks is building the new town from the ground up is no small feat, even more difficult when the entire community is hurricane resistant. It takes collaboration from hundreds of qualified people, creativity, and intense focus on details. Our core incentives are the heart of Babcock Grants development, and we continue to shape our future growth. So that is a quote directly from this development. And it was just very cool to see that they had been thinking about this already, and these concerns that people have right off the bat, they're already addressing them and they've already thought about them. So I really like this picture here because these storm shutters are on here, but people are kind of just like chilling in their house and watching the news. And it's like, that's a element of safety right there. If my storm shutters were down, I'd be kind of panicking. And they have trust in their community, and the designers are taking care of them. And this is their home, and they're just kind of battening down. So weathering out the storm. Conservation and restoration is 50% of this ranch's footprint is set aside to be able to accept the natural growth of and elements of Florida, which I thought was extremely responsible, and a beautiful way to be able to design responsibility, or like a beautiful way to be able to practice responsible design, because they're taking that into account. And that's also a huge part of somebody's community, not just paving over the whole thing. So more than 90% of Babcock Ranch is built upon already impacted pasture, farm, and rock mine land, and developments are surrounded by areas that will remain forested, which aids hurricane protection. So, our planet is just like forest fires. Like forest fires are meant to happen, and there is rebirth in those. And instead of resisting it, how can we allow it to do what it needs to do, and then have us at the same time be coexisting in these elements? So I was really impressed by that. Water conservation is integrated into the green infrastructure of Babcock Ranch, from landscaping with native low-impact plants to watering regulating systems to restore ecosystem and rehydrate surrounding wetlands. This area is home to a thriving ecosystem. Native vegetation has reclaimed the land from invasive species. Crayfish have returned to its waters, and hosts of birds once again call this home after devastation. So it was really cool to see that the land will, or tries to heal itself, but this is a way that they were able to build at the same time as heal. And I think that took a lot of consideration and understanding and research from the community, from the ground, from contractors, from sources, and that was a really wonderful thing to see. And I imagine wasn't the easiest or cheapest route, but it was important to them. And that kind of design is something that I'm sure they're super proud of. So just a little more about storm safety is resilient. When you kind of prepare for the elements to do what they're going to do, it provides a direction for design. And I think being conscious of that was something really interesting to read about in our readings, and then also with this project. So preparing for the next surge and knowing, or the storm and surge, and knowing it's going to come, it's inevitable. So they have a high school there that acted as a shelter for the community. So people who maybe weren't in a house that was stormproof, they were able to have a place to come and congregate and feel safe. And that again is really cool and very sustainable, being dual purpose between a high school and a storm shelter. Um, I thought it was pretty incredible to see the proximity of this high school next to the water, and what that storm surge would have looked like during Hurricane Ian, and what it will look like come next storm. So um, just incredible. And then reinforcing and being really mindful of what you're doing and how you're constructing is very responsible. You know, bolting down park benches and like, okay, if we do it right the first time, we're not going to have to come back and re-bolt this park bench down and re-buy one. And it's just very, very cool thoughts. And here are my sources and bibliography to be able to research everything that's been in my slides. And I strongly encourage everybody to kind of check these out. The ASLA, of course, is an awesome resource. Even the engineering behind all of this. And then, of course, what resilient design is. There's an entire organization around it. And then, of course, the community that was in discussion. So, yeah, thank you very much.